net zero homes and energy efficiency are kind of, everyone knows that language,
Right,
but health
right.
materials is something that people are really just learning about. And that's
Yeah,
something
yeah,
that is really getting pushed to the forefront. I think that
yeah.
the USGBC, the International Living Future Institute,
Mm-hmm.
healthy product declarations, there's this push to get materials, and in so doing materials, green homes forward.
Welcome to Home Green Homes Podcast. I am Izumi Tanaka, a green home advisor and a green realtor. Here I invite a variety of experts in the world of green homes and have conversations about how we can all live in healthy, resilient, and efficient homes. My guests provide insight in a wide range of topics, from designing, building, and living in green homes, purchasing or financing green homes and improvements, to how we can live to reduce the negative environmental impact from the way we live. My goal is to inspire and inform you about how we can make a difference in our own lives and our environment. Hi, this is Izumi Tanaka with Home Green Homes, and I am here today with my fabulous guest, Kate Bachner. And she has created a company called Wise Matter. That's right, Wise Matter. And we are talking to Katie about what this is all about. So, Katie, tell us about you. First of all, thank you so much for being with me and today, and tell us how you got here. I know you and I have a somewhat similar background of, both coming from creative, artistic field, and somehow ended up in this, world of green building and green real estate. So tell us about you.
Yeah, Zumi, I just want to start out by saying thank you so much for having me. It's so fun speaking with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, as you said, I started off, I view green building as creative in and of itself, but I guess, quote unquote, I came from the art world. So my background is in art history. I have a master's in contemporary art, and I worked in New York City galleries for a really, really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And that was great for a little bit of time, but then I started getting a bit jaded by the whole thing. It felt really insular to me. The more I learned about the destruction of ecosystems and climate change and everything that was going on in the environment, I felt more and more pulled to get into that
Mm-hmm.
world.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I did.
Mm-hmm.
I quit my job, and which was really difficult because I really identified with being around artists and in the
Mm-hmm.
world. It was my
Mm-hmm.
identity for probably like 12 years or something like that. So I actually got my real estate license in New York City in order to really understand what buildings were all about and understanding the industry. So I worked in the real estate as a real estate agent for a while. And then I was, determined to get into the creation of buildings because, I came from an art background, and I really like the idea of how form affects behavior. As a curator in a gallery, you arrange the art in such a way that it tells a story. The colors bounce off each other. So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. And I thought, okay, so how do I do this? I'm not going to go back to school for architecture. I'm not going to become interior designer. So where could I find my niche? And I thought that materials were really the way to go. Um, so I took night classes at NYU. I got my lead GA, and it was back in 2015 when the material world, material was just really beginning. There wasn't so much emphasis on materials. It was more about energy efficiency and building a really tight envelope and net zero homes. So, I just really weaseled my way in, just knocking on every door. And then finally a company that's really great called Healthy Building Science. They're located in the Bay Area. They took a chance on me. They said, okay, this is all about research. It's all about passion. This field is not, big right now. So, come on over and let's build it.
Yeah.
So my husband and I picked up and we moved to the West Coast. And then that's how I got started.
That's a big move for you to come all the way from Manhattan to the Bay Area.
Yeah, I always wanted to go to California, so
okay, that's a good excuse.
Yeah,
so how did Wise Matter started? How did you get that going, and what does Wise Matter offer?
Sure. So I worked in healthy building science for a little bit of time, a few years as a material consultant. I got my feet wet. I learned a lot about building science, and then I wanted to go off on my own. I started another company with an interior designer called the Green Materialist, and we worked for a little bit of time together. And then I decided that I really wanted to, shape my own path a bit. So I started Wise Matter, and Wise Matter is a green, I want to use a different word, a material consulting company that concentrates on regenerative design. That's my goal, to choose materials that are not just sustainable and doing less bad, but actually choosing materials that push the industry forward and allow human beings to live more harmoniously with the natural world.
Yeah. So who are your clients, or who are you working with?
So I work in the residential section, and I work with homeowners, architects, build teams. A lot of people from different ilks come to me who are working on green projects or want to learn more about green projects, and they don't know how. Right. So I advise them, and it usually starts with the homeowner.
And so how are you reaching out to these people? Because I myself, basically, we are working with same, I guess, the market. And the last 4 years has been like really trial and error, finding my path, like you use the word path, finding my path of reaching to these people and talking about what we do in a way that is not preachy, not critical or judgmental, but really encouraging people to think about their own well-being. And how are you doing that? I'm really curious.
Well, through a practical level of lead generation, a lot of it comes from referrals from other people. A lot of it comes from so the homeowners and also the building industry. It comes from stuff like this, podcasts. It comes from networking events. I'm a part of the International Living Future Institute, so I really kind of lean on them to get me more into the green audience. As far as the psychology behind encouraging people to make their homes more ecologically sound, I really do concentrate on their health, and I try and not do the doom and gloom
Right.
scenario,
Right.
but really try and paint a picture of what the future can look
Right.
like.
Right. Yeah. So what do you think is the obstacles right now for us to reach those people who may not be thinking, because I think it's easier for us to talk to people who are already thinking ecologically, friendly or green or sustainable, whatever the words we use. I
Sure.
mean, there are people who speak the language, in the way that we can talk to easily, but I think our challenge really is to reach the people who are not necessarily in that mindset, and not coming from really caring about you as a homeowner or you as somebody who live is I find it very challenging. What do you think is the obstacle and or solution that you are implementing or you are trying?
I think education is
Mm,
really important.
mm-hmm,
I think that um, uh, trying to expose people to the fact that
mm-hmm,
this is happening, for one
mm-hmm,
thing.
mm-hmm.
Right now, I feel like eco-friendly homes are viewed as this, white unicorn, and they're
Right,
few and far between. But if people really knew that this exists and that they were able to do it, I think
right.
they would feel more empowered. There's, Elle magazine and Vogue and Architectural Digest are
Mm-hmm.
actually starting to feature green
Mm,
architecture. And I think that that's really important to not
yeah,
just have publications. Again, insularity. It's important not to be insular. And as you said,
right,
like speak in an echo chamber. It's about
right.
opening up that conversation and
Yeah,
getting into the mainstream. So, okay, so
right.
what can we do? Let's speak to stores,
Mm-hmm,
like Home Depot or Bed
mm-hmm,
Bath and Beyond, or
mm-hmm.
stores that the everyday person, goes to.
Right, right,
I
right.
think that that's important. I think
Mm-hmm,
increased visibility is
mm-hmm.
is is key, and I know that you feel the same way as far
Yeah.
as educating people about the homes in real estate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I also think making, and this kind of piggybacks off of visibility, is making it more accessible for people to
Yeah.
actually do this. Um, a lot of times, and I'm working on this now, and we can, talk about this as, my project progresses, but I'm trying to make it so it's not like just me consulting on these one-off projects.
Mm-hmm.
I want, and it's work. It's if people just had kind of this one-stop shop,
Mm-hmm.
I think that that would be a lot easier.
Right, right. And that kind of brings me to that question about how you were talking about that you um, uh, consult with the building materials and such, and we, as you mentioned, Home Depot and places like Bed Bath and Beyond, that all the stores that we are so familiar with, and that we often buy things from. And I know Home Depot has made a stride in providing a lot of you know we call green materials. Like I know that they eliminated the carpet and rug products that have formaldehyde, and I think it was last year. So, but the general perception of green building materials is that they're more expensive, and I found that to be the most the biggest challenge in especially in talking with developers and builders and such, because the cost is a factor. Whereas if we're talking with the homeowners, they might be willing to spend a little more, for their own
Yeah.
well-being, right? So what is your take on the cost of building materials when they are green or sustainable or even regenerative? What is your view of the cost in those materials, and how do you deal with it when you're talking to your clients?
Yeah, so sometimes the materials, there's not a premium, and sometimes there is a premium, so it could range from 0 to maybe 15%. Maybe a little bit more depending on the lumber quality that you're using, or it also depends on what your baseline is.
Right.
If the developer, the builders are used to using spray foam all over the place, then going to a healthier, more intelligently designed building assembly with insulation that is has a better life cycle and air quality is going to be more. If somebody's using PVC, it depends about where you're starting from.
Right.
So I think we just going back to what you were talking about, like raising the baseline of what's considered normal is something that needs to happen.
Right.
But as far as convincing developers, okay, so millennials right now are the biggest real estate segment that is happening right now. It exceeds baby boomers. They are starting families, and that's what millennials want. They will choose a green home over a home that is not green.
Right.
One of the primary, statistically, one of the primary concerns about millennials is well-being. So I think understanding the audience that these developers are trying to pitch is important.
Yeah.
And also trying to get them to be a little bit more focused and try and bring the fear down and the trust up. And I know this may sound kind of, fluffy, but I think the psychology around the people who are in the building industry is very, very important. And I think that people who are encouraging and really trying to be pioneers in this, it's their job to really understand what the fear is and how to discuss it instead of dismissing these people as saying, oh, they don't care about the environment, like it's not, it's pointless to talk to them. No, I mean, people want to do good. People want to do good, and I think it's important to have faith in that. So talking about the price, and then talking about how much more that they could get on the back end, and you could speak to that. You sold a pearl gold rated home that went for hundreds of $1,000s over.
Yes, it did. Yeah. So based on your experience, having talked to many homeowners, consultants, and you mentioned understanding what their fears are. Do you know what kind of fears do they have actually?
Sure. So I think number one, it's their health. It's their immediate families.
Right.
Not so, the environment is kind of like a cherry on top.
Right.
It's their health that they're concerned with. Fortunately, that kind of goes hand in hand with the environment because we are interconnected. So if you're building a house that's good for human health, you're probably going to be building a house that's good for the planet.
Right.
So yes, I think health is the number one. Being able to speak to that. How do building materials affect health? And what are the elements of health?
Right. And so in your view, as we sit here today, almost end of 2021. How do you foresee this? I don't want to say industry per se, but the world as we live is changing. I tend to be more optimistic than not, and I do think that we are making progress, and I do think that the movement is strong enough that it will keep moving forward. How do you feel? What's your forecast of what's to come? Like, how do you think we're actually doing something that's moving something forward?
Totally, absolutely. The number of green certifications that have sprung up that concentrate on healthy materials, as well as net zero homes. But
Mm-hmm.
I think net zero homes and energy efficiency are kind of, everyone knows that language.
Right,
But healthy
right.
materials is something that people are really just learning about, and
Yeah,
that's something that is really getting pushed to the forefront. I think that
yeah.
the USGBC, the International Living Future Institute, healthy product declarations, there's this push to get materials, and in so doing materials, green homes forward. I think that I am optimistic. I do think it's up to the consumer, the homeowner, to the buyers, the people who are participating in the real estate industry, to
Right.
take ownership of that, really get aligned with what's happening to the planet, and understand that there are solutions that they could be a part of. I think that manufacturers and companies need to take ownership of that. I wish that the government could move quicker. They're not. I am not optimistic that if we rely on government agencies that we will succeed. I think it's really going to be the private sector that needs to take responsibility. So I do think that we are moving on a macro level in the right direction, but I think certain industries are pushing that forward better.
Yeah, I agree. The government's definitely helping to some degree. Without the government, there's not that like oomph underneath. But I think it is the private sector that is really leading that, cutting edge of like moving it forward. Do you have any suggestions for homeowners, or maybe even builders or developers? The most important thing, well, maybe two questions. What's the most important thing that homeowners can do to make your home healthier? And number two is for builders or developers. What would be your first or one thing that you would tell them, that if they want to build, and if maybe they're not even considering making it so green, but if they want to be up to date, it's just it's not a fad, or it's not something extra or auxiliary, because this is going to have to be the way it is, moving forward, right? So what is your suggestion or advice to either homeowners or builders?
For builders, that's an excellent question. Thank you. For builders, I think that it's important to think about building assembly and the elimination of petroleum-based products. And I also think it's important for builders to really understand that the longevity of the building is important. If we look hundreds of thousands of years ago, buildings existed for over, hundreds, if not thousands of years. The average home right now exists between 20 to 30 years. We're years. So I think building for longevity is important. That's, that's a,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, a philosophical angle that kind
Mm-hmm.
of translates into
Right.
specific actions. But I do
Right.
think building assembly and
Mm-hmm.
designing for uh, having that building assembly breathe. And when I say
Mm-hmm.
breathe, it means that the moisture doesn't get stuck
Right.
and getting off of petroleum-based products,
Right.
um, like spray foam. I think
Yeah.
spray foam is a
Right.
really
Right.
dangerous thing. I think it's really easy
Mm-hmm.
in training. Well, I'm going off of like on a tangent, but yeah, I think
We tend to. It's
I,
okay.
I think building assembly is
Yeah.
really important for that, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
education is really important for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for homeowners, I'm not expecting homeowners to know about construction processes,
Mm-hmm. Right.
what's a good thing about homeowners, I think, or that homeowners could do, I think, is being their own advocate, I think is really important. And just on a base level, understanding that are incredibly important. Their homes are incredibly important for
Mm-hmm.
affecting their health and
Mm-hmm.
other ecosystems and other species.
Mm-hmm.
So understanding
Mm-hmm.
that there's solutions and working with the right people who support their vision.
Right. Right. Thank you. Yeah. I the part that really always concerns me, or what would be the right word, that I'm most interested in working is the middle range homes.
Yeah.
Like, in the luxury or high end residences, it's easy to implement a lot of the features or the elements that we are talking about. And also on the low income affordability range, there's a lot of support from the municipalities, and there's a lot of nonprofit that are working to create affordable buildings that are um, healthy and green. But it's there's that huge middle
Yeah.
that in Los Angeles, the middle is $1 million, $2 million, $1 to $2 million, but that's the range that a lot of the developers are developing, investors are flipping, and that's that range that I really try to target.
Mhm.
Do you have any suggestion about how to approach these people, like in the middle? Same thing, probably same question, but it's like, you know, Vogue and Architectural Digest may feature some really nice big homes
Yeah.
that are, right, high end, have all
Yeah.
the green features.
Yeah, I think that realistically, you're not going to address everything.
Right.
The industry is just not there yet for
Yeah.
the middle to address everything. But I do think that there's some high impact categories
Yeah.
that if you do address, you are making a dent. So I think, for instance, the wood that you source is incredibly important. Incredibly important. It affects obviously ecosystems, but it also affects, it's the lungs of the planet.
Right.
And how it's sourced, the pesticides that are used, the clear cutting. So
Yeah.
concentrate on wood, concentrate on wet applied materials, such as paint, and coatings and stains. Concentrate on insulation. Speak to your build team about avoiding spray foam.
Right.
In the beginning.
Right.
In the beginning.
Right.
So if there's a major renovation, say, hey, this is my priority. If they're building, hey, this is my priority.
Yeah.
So you could design for that.
Yeah.
What other things? So wood, wet applied products, insulation, there's low hanging fruit like lighting, LED.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Try to have a good HVAC system,
Right.
because that saves energy. It also
Mm-hmm.
helps with indoor air quality.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that is the way to go. And
Yeah.
just for some guidelines, look for low VOC
Right.
coatings.
Right.
Look for lumber, wood products that have
Mm-hmm.
either FSC certification,
Right.
SFI
Mm-hmm.
certification,
Mm-hmm.
or companies that actually have on their website information about how their wood is sourced, or
Right.
how their products are sourced, like
Right.
cabinetry, flooring.
Right. Right. Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Katie. I'm so grateful to have you. How can people find you,
You
and
could
how
find
could
me on
they reach you?
they could reach me on through my website, which is www.wise, WIS as in Sam, matter, matter.com.
Hey, I hope we can both work together and, keep moving this movement forward.
Yes, I mean, it would be a dream to resuming.
Thank you so much, Katie. And this was Izumi Tanaka with Home Green Homes, and I will talk to you soon.